I've built a fair few layouts over the years, and you don't build the same layout twice, and you don't build it in the same part of the country. So this time it was going to be East Anglia. I saw this video, Fens in the 1960s, and I thought, this just cries out to be modelled. The place it's based on is called Middle Drove, on the old Wisbech to Kings Lynn Line, and it's set in 1967. But we altered the layout slightly from the original by adding grain silos to it, which weren't there at the original location. Otherwise, it's as was. Well, it would be a seasonal traffic. Obviously a lot of grain would be brought into the silos during the harvest period from probably 20-mile radius. And then during the rest of the year, it would be loaded. Some would go out by road, obviously, but it would go out by rail. Wheat would go to places like Birkenhead, to the big spillers mills at Birkenhead. But barley would be transported right up to the Highlands of Scotland for the whisky industry. We have two types of grain wagons on there, the older BR unfitted ones, which look very rusty, because when they painted them, when they were built and they painted them, it was not that many years after the war, and they didn't put undercoat on because they hadn't got any, so the rust went through the paint. The other type, what they call blues, they were more modern, were vacuum braked, and also had panels on the sides advertising the various whiskies they were used for. They were painted blue. The Dewars ones were painted blue, and they became known as blues in railway parlance. And they stayed like that. And as I say, it was a seasonal traffic, so sometimes there would be no activity there at all. In our world on there, we also have occasional deliveries of fertiliser in 12-ton box vans that came into the yard as well for it. And there are a couple of tank wagons that bring diesel in to drive the blowers for drying the grain. The main ones you would have seen on there were Derby lightweights, Class 105s and Class 101s. And so, yeah, they're green ones. The Derby lightweights at the time of this layout, it's only 67, were going from green to blue. And so we have them where you have a blue one and a green one on the same train. And they ran like that. And the Derby lightweights barely last any longer than this layout. By 1970, they were virtually all disposed of. The 101s carried on in East Anglia for another 35 years.
The story of the construction was, as usual with all of our layouts that we've built together, it's done around my house in Toaster. It's a traditional construction of 2x1 framework and trestles, topped with plywood. There's 5 boards that are all 5 foot long, 3 are scenic and 2 are fiddle yards. They're made with legs that fold up underneath, so it's obviously easy for transportation. It's a DCC layout, so we've used electrofrog points everywhere, along with Pico track work. Everywhere is live with droppers on every section of track, and it's all wired into a copper tape, which we've used for continuity along the whole length of the layout. The signals and the points are DC controlled though, and not DCC, so they're just wired to a control box with the usual flick switches.
And at the far end of the layout, when you get to the right, you get the very big Fenland drain, which in real life is called Middle Drain. And the bridge across it is still there. We moved it 2 miles closer to it just for operational reasons. But they're another feature of the landscape there, anywhere. And between the fields, the sort of green pits you see between the fields, they're like a small ditch, they all drain into it. Everything's drained all the way. So.
With the buildings, it was very much split. I built the station building, he built the station platforms, the station waiting room and the signal box, which again was a bit of an adapting kit. George basically adapted some Walther's kits for the silos. Most of the scenics in terms of the farmland and scenery was done by George in the cellar in his home in Northampton. For 2017, you'll be able to see Fenchurch St Peter at Stafford, Bury St Edmunds and Spalding.